Oh, we got 2 complete games after not having one for like a half decade. Pat, are we
Yeah,
overusing starters?
I think so. You could have, you had a nice, comfortable lead. You could have gone to Cold Sands and saved a couple of innings for Pablo last night. I don't know. He looked pretty sweated up out there, didn't he, against those feisty Royals? Basically, if you get Bobby Witt out, you don't have much problem, do you?
Oh
That's
my
it. And
That's pretty
last night
much
they struck him
God.
out 3 times. What's their ERA against those guys? Didn't they start the season beating them 2-0 and
They're
2-0?
nine. They're 9-1 against them for the season.
I bet they haven't scored 20 runs, have they? They have absolutely dominated them. But Joe Ryan's game was amazing. That was against Baltimore. Bailey Ober was fantastic. He 7 innings and he had 1 3-ball count, 23 batters, and but Pablo might have had an easier time than anybody of any of them last night. I mean, there was never an issue with him. He was, and his last 3 have been pretty damn good. So
Who are
anyway,
these guys?
I
Who are
don't know.
like I had the scorecard. I could name. I knew like 2 guys.
Yeah, yeah, you knew Salvador. Who did?
Yeah.
Hey, they were
So
here 3 days, and Salvador didn't even hit a home run. For God's sakes, that was
yeah.
that's the upset of the century. And I heard Dick last night say Salvador Perez might join Joe Mauer in the Hall of Fame.
Uh,
Salvador Perez is being taken into the Hall of Fame on a wheelbarrow. Dummy. He's a 100% first ballot Hall of Famer. Joe's got Joe will take about 4 years, I guess. Joe will get in.
I don't know that
take
Joe.
about 4
I
years.
don't know that Joe gets in. Like
He'll get
I
in.
I think he
I think
does.
he'll get in. I
He'll
think
get
he'll get
okay.
in because people will start focusing on his catching career instead of those last 6 years when he played first base. And he had,
It's so tough. He didn't do anything in the playoffs, which is a
but
blemish.
well, he would have hit a double if it wasn't for Phil Cuzzy. Maybe they could show him that he would have hit a very important double if it hadn't been for Phil Cuzzy, and they would have had a 2-0 lead in the series. But which they probably would have lost 3 in a row anyway. So what difference does it make? But yeah, it's I saw a Gleeman stat. I'm sure everybody else has had it. They're number 1 virtually in every pitching category now in Major League Baseball.
Mhm.
The Twins.
Yeah.
I mean, innings for starters, lowest. They're number 1 in everything. It's incredible.
It is. Do you think even they're still outside the top 20 in runs scored, but if you have one of the 2 best pitching staffs in baseball, and maybe they add a reliever or something,
Yeah.
you can. This is a formula to actually do something in October if they can get there. That's the crazy thing.
Did anybody notice last night though, as they cruised to this victory, they had 5 hits.
yeah.
They had 5 hits. And then so they're still not hitting the ball, but when you don't give up any runs and you're playing Kansas City, they'll figure out a way to get you a few runs. But
Yeah.
it's the hitting. It is probably, well, I'd have to look back, maybe 68, but this is probably the greatest discrepancy between pitching being excellent and hitting being in the 63 years of the Twins. This is probably the greatest discrepancy. Many times we've had great hitting, like 77, and terrible pitching,
Yeah.
but not this year's. It's incredible. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Overs. Sonny Gray's going to the All-Star game. He might be their 4th best starter. Ober's been fantastic lately, don't you think? I mean, he throws nothing but strikes. I don't believe I think it might as a mirage created by the Royals. I still look at that stuff and say, he's throwing 91. Is he
It
going
is
to keep
crazy
on?
how quickly like throwing 91 is like throwing. You're Jamie Moyer from 20 years. Remember when
Oh,
Jamie
yeah,
Moyer was
right.
throwing 79-mile-an-hour fastballs?
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
what a 90-mile-an-hour fastball is now. It's
Yeah,
it's crazy.
it looks like he's there's a changeup. No, that was a heater actually. But
It
he
wasn't that
is.
long ago that every starting pitcher threw about 90 miles an hour, 89, 90, 91, and then they would
Oh yeah.
maybe hump it to like 94 in a
Well,
big moment.
Bert had fantastic stuff, right? The great curveball and everything, but he rarely was riding along at 95. It was 93, 94, which was good enough with that. Now I think one big difference, Phil, is everybody throwing max effort all the time. Back in the day, Verlander is probably the last of the. Okay, I'm going to show you 93 all day until I need 99.
Yes.
Not as many pitchers do that anymore. Pablo looked like he was in cruise control yesterday. I don't even know if he gave us his best fastball all the time, but he was absolutely in cruise control. So, but most of we see this max effort, which is probably the reason. I heard a stat yesterday. Last week, I couldn't believe 51%. Now I don't know if these are the pitchers who started the season with major league teams. 51% were on the injured list at one point during the season. 51%. Maybe they gave them they got a new thing for if you're horse crap, they put you on the mental health list. So I don't think we had that last year, though. We didn't have the mental health. But I'm terrible. Put me on the mental. The team says we're going to put you on the mental health list, so we don't have to use you. So and then we're writing as though these guys are coming back from these, horrible situations like Jorge and stuff
Do you
like
think,
that.
real quick on Jorge, so if you look at his career at this point, and I don't have his numbers in front of me, but he was atrocious every year for 4 or 5 years up until last year. And then he has a really good lights out 3 or 4 months. Twins make the trade. He was mediocre down the stretch for the Twins, and now he's got a 5 ERA again. Did they just and you got excited about him too, I guess. But did we just get excited about a 3-month career stretch, and this is who he is?
Here's my thing, though. I saw him make a couple of some starts against the Twins, at least 2, maybe 3 times. I watched him pitch. This was when he was starting, and I'd say, how's this guy got a 6 ERA? Look at this stuff. But then he'd get to the 4th inning and he'd get knocked all over the place.
Right.
But I thought he had terrific stuff when I was watching him not get through 5 innings. I couldn't figure out how he was that bad. And now maybe he's just not any good. I don't know. He came in the other day for his respite, 2 base hits and then a rocket for an out, right? Yeah, I thought that ball was going out that Kepler caught up next to the wall. So he could have came in, faced 3 batters, given up 3 runs, and had to get relieved with a 9-2 lead. So maybe he's no good. I don't know. I was dead wrong on him. Maybe. Well, it looks like I was dead wrong on him because I really liked his stuff, but I didn't see that hanging slider that's been his specialty this year. I didn't see that hanging breaking ball. He was, there was more the sinker and everything.
So Pat, where does a guy who has watched this franchise since its inception in 1961 or since it came here from Washington, where does a team meeting at which the players basically decide the coaching staff is no longer a necessary part, where does that rank among Twins mutinies since the club started?
Oh, I would say not even close. Back in the 70s when we were having Marvin, when they were rocking and rolling and fighting for free agency, and they were blatantly bad mouthing management and everybody, and it was much more raucous back then. There was first of all, the other half of the deal was until the last 10 years, the manager would tell you, he'd get mad and explode and rip his team. Rocco's thing was like an explosion for 2023.
Right.
Yeah.
And 20 years Gardy, it would have said, oh, Gardy's a little upset today. It would have been, a little. And back in the day of other managers, is they'd fine a guy they would have fined Willie Castro. Sam Mealy would have fined him 8 times by now. They used to take $50 away from a guy all the time when he did something stupid, which for Willie is about once a game. So it was a much more raucous. The message was not controlled nearly as well as it is now. Back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and it's a different time now. Once Kelly took over, it got, the message was more controlled, although he would get angry once in a while. But before that, the first 25 years when Calvin owned the team were wonderful, because Calvin would explode and they'd rip Calvin, and it was great. It was fantastic. Of course, and then Calvin's speech at Waseca,
well, yeah, that took it to another level.
That was 78, and that was Rodney's last year with the team. But I was in Kansas City covering the team. That was my last year on the beat. Sunday morning, I get a call at 9:00 in the morning at the hotel. I'm sure I was hungover. Last day on the road, Kansas City, and they said the Tribune has a story this morning that Calvin was at Waseca and made this racial crazed speech. So I rush over to the ballpark, and the players they don't have a newspaper, but they're getting these secondhand reports of what was happening. And Carew goes crazy. And, that's what we had back then. Now we got Rocco saying, we better start thinking more when we go to the plate. We say, oh my, what an explosion.
Well, and then he started to sort of rip there. He's like, I know we work hard, but we need to work hard differently.
No, the work hard thing he was basically telling us, you can't say we had a complete lack of effort tonight, but we sure work hard, right? Those two messages are not the same. I mean, working hard is, he did catch himself 2 or 3 times in that statement. But I will say, as silly as it is, getting Correa at the top of the order, he hasn't been fantastic, but he's been pretty good. But it does kind of send a message, don't you think? Get him out of the order. Get him. Okay, we're paying you $200 million. You figure out how to get this thing started here.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that turned out to be especially when you don't have a leadoff hitter. So
yeah,
how about the kid? What are they going to do with the second baseman when Julio comes back? He's got 6 home runs already.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's teach him how to field a little bit better.
Well, him and Miranda on the field. If I'm pitching, I'm saying hit the ball to Correa, because I don't want either of those guys to get the ball. Miranda, they were probably, I don't know how much longer he's got if he can't hit, he can't play. So.
Could you put Julian at third?
Well, he couldn't be any worse.
Yeah,
I don't know how his arm is. I don't know, but how he throws. I don't think he's ever played over there. But yes, that would make more sense. But again, when are we going to see Jorge? Who knows? Maybe you can put Jorge at third. How about Jorge at third? He used to play short.
You could.
His arm isn't.
Jorge is such an afterthought because of all the injuries.
But his arm wasn't a big issue, was it? He'd skip a few once in a while. It was
a little bit.
Didn't have great range or anything. Yeah, but you could maybe play him at third.
But that was a short too. So yeah, you can Julian field though? That's my question. Like no matter where you put him,
no, he can't.
His glove is like
no, he can't.
Frying pan.
They should send Koski over to talk to him. Give him the Canadian message. Listen, kid, I was worse than you. My life was in danger, and I took 5,000 ground balls a week from Gardy, and I became a very good third baseman. You can do it. You got to get your glove in front of the ball. That's the secret here.
That's
unbelievable.
That's the key to fielding a grounder. Yes.
More bad news in the Twin Cities sports scene last night, even though Pablo was good. The Lynx won again.
What are they doing?
Collapsing for Caitlin. collapsing for Caitlin is over, blowing up. We're hot now. We think we're gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, playoff team now.
Why are we screwing this up?
I don't know.
We were doing this so well. What, 0-6? Path to a Beckers or Caitlin Clark?
Yeah, you were just in Iowa. Are they still talking about Caitlin in Iowa?
Pat, are you kidding? The Iowa Hawkeye women's basketball tickets for the upcoming season are gone. There's nothing. and I heard somebody estimated that they think her NIL income is something like $1.5 million at least.
Yeah.
Like she's making more in college than she probably will with her starting contract.
Yeah.
Now, but I do think some of these deals are going to follow the players into the WNBA too, right? I mean, Hy-Vee's not going to drop her because she's playing college, now maybe, because she's gone from college to the pros and Nike and all these footwear places. And I don't know who her contracts with, but she's got sports apparel contracts too. And that's interesting that all these schools have sports apparel contracts, right? With certain people. What happens if Caitlin wants to get a deal with Nike and they're an Adidas school? I don't know.
No, it's one thing if like you're a professional team and you're being paid millions of dollars. Like D'Angelo Russell tried to bring his sports drink to the podium after games, and the NBA is like, no, we've got a deal with this sports drink, and you're being paid $30 million in our league. But if you're a college athlete, you're not getting paid. Yeah, can you wear, if you're an Adidas school, can you wear flashy Nikes? Like, it's a good question.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I remember when the Dream Team back in '92, they had I think the Olympics had the deal with Adidas, right? And all the Nike guys, when they take their team pictures and stuff, would cover up the Adidas, and it was a big controversy. And I think Jordan, obviously the Adidas man, the Nike guy of all time, that was a big feud going on there. And the Olympics thought the Olympic Committee thought they were going to stare them down and win the fight, and
no.
They didn't realize that the Dream Team was doing them a favor, not the other way around. Yeah.
So well, Pat, we got to get to some Thursday scoops here with our guy Doogie.
Oh, all right. I'm interested.
And you got to get going too, but we'll do it again tomorrow, and we'll see. The Twins are now 5-1 in the new season. They said it was a new season going into Baltimore last week, and they're 5-1 in the new season. So
unfortunately, the new season only includes 3 more games with the Royals.
Yeah.
The new season, the dream schedule of 19 games against the Royals is gone. There's 6 wins you don't get to have.
Yep. You gotta earn it now. All right, there he is, Reusse Unchained, presented by our friends at Power Lodge and Miller Marine. Power Lodge locations in Brainerd, Anemia, Ramsey, Miller Marine in St. Cloud. Over 300 pontoons in stock, and a ton of Benningtons out there for your throttle therapy, Judd.
That's right. It's called throttle therapy for a reason, and the reason is because our summers are short, but they are beautiful on the lake. And if you are a Minnesota sports fan, as we continue to talk about, don't you want to jump in the lake like that, which you just saw? Don't you want to enjoy your summer? You can do exactly that on a Bennington.
PowerLodge.com and MillerMarine.com. Reusse Unchained.